Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Ryan. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but...
Hey, I just got back from Canada.
Yeah, you did.
I did. Second trip. First time you and I went to Montreal.
That was fun.
And offense intended. Very much intended. Everybody there was an asshole. It was really crowded everywhere we went in Montreal. And people glared at us like, get out of here. Do you not remember
that?
I hated being in Montreal. Because everyone was so crowded and people were so rude. And, the Canadian stereotype is nice, right? That's type. And I'm very...
All I remember is the bartender and at that one bar when it was like snowing and I was eating poutine and we were watching some sport and I was drinking a Canadian beer, and so it was just like, she was like, Vive la Quebec or something, I don't know. And then the little boy at the parade who tried to speak to you in French,
and then was angry at me because I didn't speak French.
It was very put out.
It's fair. That's fair.
In the chocolate restaurant, I remember that.
Yeah, I looked for a chocolate restaurant in Halifax because I was like, maybe this is like a Canadian thing. They didn't have a chocolate restaurant there.
Yeah, so I don't remember anything bad other than the conference that I didn't do very well. But yeah.
I thought you did fine. Was that the one where you rewrote your entire thing on the plane?
Probably, I don't know.
ADD was like, oh, I don't want to talk about this at all. I'm going to rewrite everything at the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah, the uncontrolled ADD is the part I don't want to remember.
Okay. So I'm very happy to report that in Halifax and the other parts of Nova Scotia that I visited, the Canadian stereotype is true. Everyone was very friendly to the point where they were like overly conscientious like me and it caused problems. I felt so seen. It was wonderful. I'm going to talk about these girls that were there. They were all sturdy women. That's how I'm going to describe it. Sturdy. No makeup, very little jewelry, tattoos everywhere. I was like, these are my people. I cannot live.
You found your island of women warriors that you want to go live on?
Not warriors, just like, I don't give a shit.
Not like in the... Yeah, continue.
I'm sorry. Anyway, it was just nice. It was a bunch of people who were there like, I don't care for you to look at me. I'm just here to get shit done. And I was like, that's right. That's right. That's the correct philosophy. So yeah, that was cute. And Eddie did better than I thought he would. So that was nice. I went on a whale watching boat and didn't see any whales, but saw some seals. And then thought about how you would always send me pictures of seals and ask me what my dog was doing in the ocean, which made me laugh. Especially because... What?
Nothing.
You were going to say something, or did you
was I? Yeah, no, I was. So remember how you didn't see any whales on your whale watching adventure?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other day we were watching Bluey, and there's an episode, I don't know if you've seen it or can recall, where the parents are hungover.
Mm-hmm.
And they are laying on the floor in the couch, and the kids are somehow they start playing whale watching.
Yes.
And I was like, maybe this is the whale watching tour Heather went on. All the whales were just hungover and didn't want to come out.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I get it. It's nature. We can't make them do, it's like,
no.
We have SeaWorld and it's terrible. So, it's fine. It was fine. The Canadians were nice. The timing was good. We ended up putting Sadie to sleep the day before we left for Canada. So
Good timing.
yep. So I didn't have to sit around here and be sad. I went to Canada and then came back and was sad, but that's okay. I had a night of horrific crippling nerve pain to the point where I was like crying and screaming in agony. And I feel like that was my catharsis for releasing Sadie, was, just crying in my hotel room alone in Canada, knowing that Eddie wouldn't remember it at all. So when I try to get him to move into assisted living, he's not going to want to. Good times. And the last, and then we got caught in the global outage that happened. And ended up having to spend a lot of money trying to get home. But we got home, so that was good. And at the
I'm glad you're not still in New Jersey.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad I left New Jersey. At the airport in Connecticut, which we flew out of, when we were waiting to go through security, there was a priest and a nun, and it sounds like an opening to a joke, and it kind of is. So the nun was like hardcore, like Maria nun, like the wimple and like an apron.
Oh yeah,
like hardcore nun. And I was like, oh, Eddie, is that nun like bringing up any trauma from you from your childhood? And he said,
Catholic school upbringing.
He said, no, but that priest is making me feel things because the priest was hot as fuck.
Another father, what a waste.
Yeah, very much. So that was fun. And then I got nervous. We went and had a couple of, I drank water and Eddie had a couple of cocktails at this airport bar. And we start making our way to the gate. And there's a couple who are little people moving along in front of us toward our flight. And Eddie got very excited. And I was like,
oh no.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, because he definitely has started to say inappropriate things at inappropriate times.
He started to say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, and I was like, uh-oh. He's like, they're just look at him go. I'm like, no, nope.
Oh, jeez.
Just, we're shutting it down. We're shutting it down right now.
Just look at him go.
So, and then I came home and fell apart, and it's great. But
fell apart.
Well, I'm just really tired, so
okay.
And I'm still kind of on Atlantic time, so I'm still like 2 hours ahead. So I keep waking up at like 5 a.m, and I'm like, I don't even wake up at 7. Normally.
You're only 1 hour ahead. It's only 1 hour.
No, baby, Atlantic time, where I was in Halifax, is Atlantic time, which is an hour ahead of Eastern time, which is where you live. So it's 2 hours ahead of Central time, where I live.
Whatever. You're in the ocean. There's no time zones in the ocean. Who cares what time it is in the ocean?
The whales, their time is off. I don't want to be seen. Yeah. But two good time wasters. I finished the latest Emily Henry book that you left for me. Thank you. Enjoyed it very, very much. And because it's a fake dating book, it got me inspired to go back and revisit the second book I self-published. So I can try to get that one ready to have somebody buy it and pay money for it. So we'll see.
Nice. I was in the library yesterday. Elliot wanted to go to the library yesterday. And, I always look for books for myself, too. And I just look around and I'm just like, there's no reason Heather can't sell a book. Look at all these books. Look at all these books. And it's not even a big library. It's a small library.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at all of these books. And who knows if most of them are even that good. I'm sure they're, Yeah. So, but I will say this, and I don't know if I told you. You know how they say that you can't judge a book by its cover?
Yeah.
That is very much a lie. That is 100% how I choose books at the library.
Yeah.
Is by their cover.
Yes.
So
I think when that phrase was coined, all the covers kind of looked the same.
Yeah, no, I know.
And
When
then
you're talking about people, yes, but when you're talking about books at a library, it is very true.
yes.
I've been wasting time reading a book. Oh,
Yeah.
were you not done? Is it not my turn to talk?
I was just gonna say, I also finally read a not romantic comedy for the first time since COVID, and that felt very
Oh,
so.
good.
That's it. That's all I got. Tell me how you've been wasting time.
What was your not romantic comedy that you read?
It was called The Center, and it's only about 200 pages long, which is pretty short.
Yeah.
And it's a book
Yeah.
about a mystery.
You read it, so it's got to be a book.
I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to give it away if anybody reads it. I don't want to say what the thing is, but like,
Oh, okay.
it's a book that I'm really sad that like I want to talk about it. Like it would be a good book club book because it's like, and what about this and what about this? But it's extremely esoteric. So like, she's a book translator, so she translates books into other languages.
Okay.
And so one of the first things that she kind of talks about in her first person narrative is the stranger and how difficult the first line is to interpret because you have to place yourself as the author in a moment in time in French Algeria to decide what maman means. Is it mother? Because that's how it's usually interpreted. But maybe it's mom, but it's definitely not mommy. It's like, and then you have to take the second sentence. And this is all stuff that I remember from when I read The Stranger in high school. And, it's still one of my favorite books. And it was just like, I really, really, really like this book. And there's no one that I can talk to about it.
I was going to say, good luck finding a book club that's going to talk about that. Because I'm just thinking about my book club, who is made up of lovely people.
Yeah.
No.
But friend of the pod, Monique, is the one who recommended it to me. So maybe I can go talk to her about it.
There you go. You can talk to Monique about it. Yeah. I read the book for book club this week and I made the pie. And then I didn't go.
Was the pie
it was called Don't Believe It or something. So it was a mystery one. So luckily for book club, I read things that aren't just romantic comedies because that's what I tend to go through,
Yeah.
But I've chosen some other books recently. Like I'm reading a lot. I forget everything I read as soon as I read it. But yeah, it was like set in part of it was set in St. Lucia, and then like chess, the game of chess played a huge part. So I made a key lime chess pie.
Oh.
And then I did a tequila cream to go on top of it. Ooh. And then I didn't go. Because I get anxiety about going to new places. Because what I have now decided to call my physical divergence. So I am neurodivergent and I am also physically divergent.
Okay.
Because I don't really feel like I probably borderline disability in some ways as far as like stairs and, seating and things like that. So I just put that out into the little book club thing. It's like, just full disclosure, I love you all, but sometimes my physical divergence causes me anxiety about going to new places. And I need to be better about just asking, hi, what is the situation with getting in and out of your pool? Is it a ladder or is it stairs? Just know before you go. So, but it was fun. We went to the pool as a family, so that was cool. Yeah, I've been reading the book. Like 370 pages in. It's about 500-page books. It's much longer than most books that I pick up.
Long-ass book.
It might not be 500, but it's called The Other Bennett Sister.
Oh, okay. The one about
it's about Mary Bennett. So I highly recommend it to you.
Okay. A whole lot of pages about Mary, I'm just gonna say.
Well, so like the first half of the book is basically like a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but it's all from Mary's point of view. Okay. So it's really interesting. And then the second half is kind of like, making up what happened to her after.
Okay.
So it's good. So if you like Pride and Prejudice, you'll like it because there's like a whole, rehashing of that whole story from kind of, just when you think Pride and Prejudice can't be done in any new ways.
Oh, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
classic. We can redo it every way we want.
So it's pretty good. I'm into it, and then I picked up a couple new books at the library yesterday. So I've still been watching a lot of The Resident. I don't know why, but that show, just when I start, I get locked in, as the kids like to say,
Okay.
and it makes me so angry about our healthcare system.
I was pretty angry at late stage capitalism when I was trapped, because I was like, it's the shareholders who demand that they have more profit, and that's why there's not enough planes. All the flights are full, so as soon as anything breaks, there's nothing
Yeah.
anybody can do, because
Well, that was before the whole, like, just the Microsoft malfunction, right? Like, or the whatever malfunction. Because you got stuck because your plane was broken, right?
Yeah, so yes, there was a mechanical issue with our first flight, which is how we got stuck in Jersey overnight.
Yeah, which
That
if you had
we
made
were-
that flight, you would have missed the technology.
Yes, I would
apocalypse.
have missed the global outage if I had made that flight. And basically, it's just that every single flight all the flights are overbooked now.
Yeah.
And they're overbooked because we live in a horrible society where money matters more than everything.
Huzzah!
Huzzah. Awesome. What else have you been wasting time on?
I wasted a lot of time looking at Amazon Prime Day deals, not gonna lie.
Oh, it's pretty disappointing.
It was like I kept putting things in my cart, and then I would go, I was like, well, just put in your cart, and then you could go and look and see if you really want, whatever. And then it would be like, this is only like a few dollars cheaper.
Yeah.
So I really was like, because I was like, well, I can look for Christmas presents for people,
Yeah.
But then I was like, if it's a matter of a few dollars, that's not really. But I did buy like a little, it's the little green machine from Bissell. And it's like an upholstery rug cleaner.
Okay.
I borrowed one because I'd been thinking about buying one. I saw Megan and Troy had one, and I asked them, they let me borrow it. So I borrowed it, and I was like, okay, I like this. So it was $80 instead of $120. So
Good.
it was like one of those things where it was like, okay, this is actually a pretty good deal. So I bought that, and then other than that, I just bought some stuff for my classroom. I bought some window clings that look like flowers and potted plants to put on
That's cute.
and some contact paper, because the person who had the classroom previously wrote in, I don't know what, because it cannot be removed with anything. This is not a seat on top of all the bookshelves
Oh.
and the windowsill. And I'm like, I've never had a problem with children trying to sit on bookshelves, but I'm like, it was very aggressive to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, just gonna cover that with, I can't erase it. We're just gonna cover that with contact paper. So like my welcoming classroom, and it's like, don't sit here. Hey, all right. Yeah.
When we were on the whale watching tour, there was a sign on one of the benches. So to see it, you would have to be standing with your back to the ocean, facing the center of the boat. And the sign said, if you can read this, you're facing the wrong way.
Good one.
It made me laugh. So, the last of our musical set, My Fair Lady. I remember that it was not Audrey Hepburn's singing voice.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a lot of the songs.
I remember everything. Well, most everything.
I remember that Mom made us watch it, and I thought it was kind of boring, but I appreciated it more later. Although rewatching it, I'm like, parts of this is, because I forgot that there was an opening with just a bunch of flowers before the credits even start.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Fast forwarded through that. I was like, I ain't got 3 hours to watch all this shit. Come on.
What you said you remembered lots and lots of things. Anything?
I mean, I definitely watched this movie many, many times. So yeah. I think it has the same effect as like The Sound of Music, where I remember the beginning more than the end. So probably like started it and then was like, I'm bored now. This is definitely like one of the formative, like right up there. It's like The Sound of Music, My Fair Lady would probably be the second, and then like Grease would be the three musicals that basically make up my entire personality.
And Grease,
What?
Grease 2.
Grease. Well, Grease 2 is later. I'm talking like foundational. Grease 2 is like, that was later in life. That was more middle school. Like watching it, I was like, peonies! Lots of peonies with the opening.
Oh, peonies. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But it did also remind me of our first night at Helm Place with John Coleman.
Why?
You don't remember? Oh.
No.
Because you remember how we were just like going through the house, and like maybe it was just me, but like I was looking through all of the cupboards and we found this like old ass record player.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the records was the My Fair Lady soundtrack that we tried to play and listen to.
Oh, I remember us listening to records. I couldn't remember which one we listened to.
Yeah, we definitely listened to the My Fair Lady soundtrack. It's one of the ones that we were listening to in the John's first night at Helm Place.
That's funny.
Since he doesn't work for them anymore, I feel like it's disclosing that we ransacked that whole house on the first night won't get him fired from anything.
I think ransacked is the wrong verb.
Well, we nosed around.
Also, the fact that you're willing to do that is why I'm happy to have you come help me look through every book and everything at Eddie's house to see if Diane hid anything from him or us.
My general nosiness.
Yes. Gonna put that to good use, so
I am.
it's a good thing. I didn't know that George Cukor directed this, so that was happy. But then it was like, this is a really long time with no talking or singing. The beginning, like it was just like rich people stuck in the rain after the opera. Nobody talking.
Yeah, like it's London. Like
Yeah.
It rains, y'all. Like as Paddington taught us, they have over 100 words for rain.
There you go. I found that Audrey Hepburn was really hard to listen to,
Oh my god.
but her body language was fantastic in that opening.
Yeah.
It's
It's hard to get past the shrill screaming.
yeah.
I wrote down a question to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Are Bernard Shaw and George Bernard Shaw the same person, or are they different people? And my later research showed me that they're the same person. Because it said based on the book by Bernard Shaw.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Instead of George Bernard Shaw. And I'm like, well, maybe it's his son.
And sometimes Phoebe Shaw.
I know. But then when I did the other research, because I definitely hyper-focused on a single question that I never found an answer to.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Actually, it gives me something to talk to Shelly about the next time I see her, because it was like a choreography question.
Oh, okay.
Not that this movie really had choreography.
Much choreography, yeah. Yeah. Hey, did you like that English is the native language of the Bible? So for those of you who don't know the premise of this film, there's a flower girl from East London selling flowers on the street who happens to run into a cunning, stuck-up linguist who takes a bet after the most adorable meet cute with Colonel Pickering that he can turn her into a duchess by sound and look.
By teaching her how to speak.
Yes.
Proper English.
So basically, this movie is colonialism as a romance. Which makes it really hard to watch.
Yeah, the colonialism and the misogyny and the paternalism.
Huh?
Just if only there was some racism to really round it all out, like it'd be great.
I think with colonialism, the racism is implied.
Inherent, yeah. But yeah, man.
Yeah, they call her baggage. They call her a broomstick. He threatens to wrap her up in brown paper.
Yes.
He
And
says
so she doesn't have any feelings.
She's no use to anybody but me. And she falls in love with him.
And the best part is, after all the horrible things he says about her, she falls in love with him.
Yeah.
Fuck that bullshit. Like, fuck this movie.
There were a couple of characters in here that I was intrigued by. So the guy in the light brown trench coat with the
oh yeah,
who was like, "There's some man over there writing down everything you're saying," and then was trying to start some more shit later.
Yes.
Did he kind of give you like is that Jack the Ripper? Like, I was like,
I thought it was the guy from Willy Wonka.
Oh
like,
yeah.
That's who I didn't look it up, but I was like, is this the same actor from Willy Wonka who was like? Sorry, I dropped my notes.
Okay.
Like, what was his name? Smuggle, or Slugworth.
He had a real Jack the Ripper vibe. And then I was looking the movie up, and it's set in the Edwardian era. It was like 1910, 1911, so never mind.
I know. I did say, like, in the beginning when they were looking at when they're all coming out of the opera, I was like, that's some really bright pink for horse and buggy times.
Yeah, actually, I mean, the costumes later definitely felt authentic, but those opera gowns to me seemed anachronistic. Like
those are real 60s. Like, yeah.
So that was and then
I mean, some of the costumes later at Ascot too. Like, we can wait and get there because I have a lot to say about that.
Well, that's the best scene in the whole movie. So it's all good.
Such a formative moment.
I felt like it was very staged, but apparently George Cukor did that on purpose. He wanted it to feel staged. I don't understand the point of it. Like, just film the play. Like, if you want it to be staged, just put it on a stage. I don't know. And then we get the Falstaff character who arrives, Eliza's father.
I'm glad we both saw that.
Frank Gallagher, aka Mark Davis.
Oh God.
Yeah.
The nasty, sweaty, dirty. Oh God.
Just showing up to ask for money.
Ugh. Everyone. Frank Gallagher, Falstaff. I wrote Falstaff / Shameless. So I'm glad we were really on the same page there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Oh wait, hold on. Before we go on, so like his whole job is phonetics.
Yeah.
And like seeing the differences, and his parlor trick is like talking about where different people live.
Yeah.
And then he's like mad that everyone talks differently. So it's like, if everyone spoke proper English, then you wouldn't have a job.
Yes.
You fucking ass.
Yeah. Well,
it did make me think of my job as a high school teacher, and classism. And
well, I mean, it's weird because it's like he talks in such a way. The things that he says are language could be used as a great equalizer to remove class differences, right? But at the same time, he very much props up like the class system.
Yeah.
And also, why do they all have to speak like him? Like, if it's supposed to be the great equalizer, why can't everybody talk like Eliza? Like, who decides which version of English, which accent, which
is supreme
way of speaking is the best way to speak, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if it's between him and Eliza, I would go with him because her. During the bath scene, I was like, I can't fast forward. I cannot. This is too much.
Horrible. Yes, that was awful.
Oh my God, the screaming. Like,
I will say that if anybody needs to understand what informed consent is,
oh my God, yes. I was also
he explains what he's doing, what it means. It is a really great example of informed consent. The fact that the entire movie they just talk like she's not there is incredibly annoying, mainly because she sticks around. But
yes, yeah.
I did like that she was like throwing things at him and beating him. Like, I mean, it's inevitable, right? Like, you oppress people, and then the oppressed are going to rise up and use violence to try to get free. Because what else are you going to do?
Until you then give the oppressed people like some small manner of panacea, and then they're like, "Oh, I love you. You
Like a
actually
chocolate.
are good."
Here, have a chocolate. Like she was a have a treat.
Like, oh, I did become a shop girl. Maybe you're not such a terrible person.
If we put this in the context of the classic Hollywood musicals,
Uh-huh.
I would say that the Rain in Spain, which is Pickering and Higgins and Doolittle together, so two men and a woman singing,
Mm-hmm.
is no Good Morning from Sound of Music. I don't know which one came first, but Good Morning is definitely better.
Good morning.
Yeah, from have you seen not Sound of Music, sorry. Singing in the Rain.
Oh, I've seen it like once, or I've seen bits of it. I don't think I've seen it. Everyone is like, "Good morning, good morning." Is
Yeah.
that it? Okay.
They like basically stay up all night and then they're like
Oh,
singing and dancing, and there's this whole cute thing where they flip over a couch backwards and
yeah. I feel like Singing in the Rain would have been a much better choice of movie because that actually has dancing. Like, did none of our musicals that we watched actually had dancing?
they all had choreography. It's called musicals, not dancing. We're gonna watch White Christmas for a Christmas episode, so
Oh, good.
choreography then.
Choreography.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have mom guest on that one? No?
Sure, we can.
Oh my god. Okay. Well,
After a
let's,
couple of martinis, it'll be great.
Rex is an asshole.
It's Rex.
The actor Rex. I just kept calling him Rex because the actor that played the other guy. So like apparently he had recently quit smoking and was very bothered by the fact that Audrey Hepburn smoked 3 packs a day. But I bet she was very bothered by the fact that he got to eat food.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, in childhood, I definitely made assumptions about Audrey Hepburn and whether or not she ate. And coming from a person such as I, who is an eater, I made assumptions that she didn't eat, which was unfair. But now that she has passed, they have finally let out the secret that she was anorexic, so she didn't eat.
Yeah.
And smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, which is how she didn't eat.
Yes.
And, you know.
Well, and mom also talked to us about that. Like, speaking of, and we'll talk about that. Look for more hot takes on when we do our White Christmas episode.
I don't know that mom talked to us about it. I think all mom did was hold up the skinniest woman that ever existed ever and think that's what I should look like and then hate herself her whole life.
She talked to us about it. She talked to us about Vera, whatever. Okay, maybe she didn't. I don't know how I have the knowledge that they, maybe I just did my own reading. I don't know. Anyways.
I just feel like the way that she talked about it was she said, when I was growing up, this is what I thought I was supposed to look like.
Hmm.
But she never said they look like this because they didn't put enough calories into their body.
They weren't allowed to eat and they gave them amphetamines.
Right. So.
Alfie's like, y'all talking shit about my mom.
I know.
Shut up.
Alfie, just because Sadie's gone doesn't mean you have to make noise. Jesus.
I know. Is it much quieter in the house now?
It's quieter. I wouldn't call it much quieter. I mean, she had been slowing down, so she had been loud for a while. It's not like abrupt silence. Ascot.
Oh, is that where we're going next?
Let's go. Unless you got something else to say.
I was gonna say, do you want to know the question I had that I couldn't find the answer to?
Sure, why not?
So I was trying to find out. So you know how they kept doing the freeze thing. So in the morning when they like come out and like some people come out and like they freeze, and
Yeah.
then some people come out and then they freeze.
It was
I feel like I've seen that in other things.
okay.
And so I was trying to like find out who invented that, or like who, I don't know. And there may not be an answer, but so I was trying to look up the choreographer, and all I can see is that I guess it used the same choreography as the play, who was by this, Hanya Helm woman, who was like one of the big four of modern dance. She was German, but I couldn't get an answer as to like the first time you see that like technique or that use. So I don't know if that would be her or if that would be the director, but I couldn't find an answer.
It wouldn't be the director, it would be the choreographer.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be talking to each other, but for the most part, it's going to be the choreographer.
Yeah, but I couldn't find like a specific choreographer for the movie. So if anyone has an answer,
let us know.
Or knows what I'm talking about, please.
Let this be the first time we get an answer to a question we pose on the podcast. Be great.
If not, or maybe next time you see Shelly, will you ask her about it?
I will, but lately she's been in a bad mood, so I'll have to wait.
Oh.
She's not in a bad mood.
Oh, okay. Politics
and pain.
Oh.
Yeah, most people apparently just keep doing whatever they're doing when they're in pain. Unlike me, where if I'm in pain, I just stay the fuck home. Because I know I'm not going to be good company if I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Ascot is literally gorgeous, meaning
oh my God.
I want to devour it. It's so visually stunning.
I drew pictures of the hats that I liked.
The hats were a lot.
This scene is such a formative part of my visual things that make me happy. Like clothing, dress, hat. Yes, like black and white and the hats and yes.
It reminded me of when we went to, what's the name of the racetrack there?
Keeneland with my Daisy hat.
Yes, we went to Keeneland, and this drunk frat boy came up to Ryan and pointed at a tattoo that she has.
What does it mean?
Yes. She was trying to explain it, and he pointed at it again. But what does it mean?
What does it mean? And he kept getting closer and closer and closer and you were dying laughing because I was so uncomfortable. I'm pretty sure this was like before I'd ever had sex with someone. So like to have this like seemingly attractive man like getting this close to me, I was like, oh my God.
Man, that was a child.
Well, whatever.
I know we were younger, but he was still a child.
But yeah, what does it mean? Yeah, y'all were dying laughing. Assholes.
I also laughed really hard when we went to that haunted park thing, and
oh my God.
I was like, whatever, kept sneaking up on you because you freaked out every time.
The clown, like, and I kept trying to hide behind you and Troy, and you just kept following me, and like, ugh. Yeah, you and Troy thought that was real funny.
Yeah, if you wouldn't react, it wouldn't be funny.
If I wouldn't react, I wouldn't be me.
Yeah, that's true. I love that one of the lines in the Ascot song is, I have never been so keyed up.
Yes, I know. Like, I definitely saw things in this, watching it now, that I did not obviously get as a child.
Yes.
It's like, we're so excited.
And then I love it when the funniest thing that Rex Harrison does in the entire movie is when he puts that teacup on his hat and like turns around. Really made me laugh a lot.
I just like his mother was like, what a most disagreeable surprise.
Mm-hmm. Hold on.
She's like, go away.
Alfie, shut up. But I was really glad because for a long time I would use the phrase, what are you snickering at? And I didn't remember what it was from. So I'm so glad you watched this because I was like, I know I heard it somewhere. I didn't just make up this phrase.
I think I've been thinking it was from Pride and Prejudice. It was like a Catherine de Bourgh kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like that, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you snickering at?
And there are just so many little gay references in this movie, where Higgins is imagining a dress on Pickering, and then at this point, somewhere around here, he says, Pickering and I are at it day and night. Like, man, I wouldn't even call it queer subtext. It's just queer text. And anything before I move on to Freddie?
No, please move on to Freddie, the one she should have chosen.
So cute. And I did look up. It looks like what he brought her, the first flowers were yellow tulips.
Mm-hmm.
So I Googled it because I thought, well, if they're any good at their job, they'll pick flowers that have a meaning, because that's typically what suitors did back in the day.
Oh, yes.
And historically, yellow tulips were associated with hopeless love. So they did it right.
Foreshadowing.
And then I was like, man, all she wants is a room somewhere, and all he wants is to hang out on her street.
On the yeah.
And all he did was hang out on her street.
Yeah.
He needs to calm down.
I do like Room Somewhere because she was really manifesting. I forgot to talk about that. Like, I like how she's like really manifesting what she wants in life.
Yeah, it's true.
And then her manifestation ends in her riding off in a garbage cart with some fucking celery bouquet.
And then we get to the ball.
Yes.
With the Transylvanian queen and prince, where we meet
that
Zoltan.
Jewelry, that dress.
Oh, yeah, the jewelry and the dress. Yep. Very pretty.
That's all.
Doesn't have the same effect on me.
I know. It's me and Mom. That's our thing.
I did read that the dress was authentic, that it was a vintage dress, that all the other costumes were made, but that one was they found it in a church.
I think in my research, so they made like over 1,500 costumes for this movie. There's like a massive. It was the most expensive movie Warner Brothers had made it at that point.
Yeah. Because apparently none of them had a budget. It was like, just make it.
But they couldn't afford. Who did they want? They wanted Minnelli to direct, but they couldn't afford him. So they must have had somewhat of a budget.
Well, if they'd had Minnelli, it would have had more choreography. So that's too bad.
Yeah.
Zoltan reminds me of Meatball.
Oh, Meatball.
That's just an inside joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
We can't talk about it. He's a politician now.
No, he's not. He didn't win, so he's not a politician now.
He tried to be a politician, which means
he tried to be a politician. Now
he's going to try to do something else, so we're not going to talk about it.
He does search and rescue stuff.
Well, that's good.
Like, out in the hollers.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I have a new career goal. You want to know it?
Sure.
Impostorologist.
Do you diagnose people with imposter syndrome as an impostorologist as well?
Oh, no, it's someone who is good at finding out other imposters. That's, I believe, what was meant by it.
I don't think that's like a thing. Like, I mean, other than like that Anno girl, they made that.
It's not a real thing. It just makes me.
I know it's not a real thing. I'm just trying to pretend like if it were, like, you know, like it's very rare that you've got imposters going around. Like you've got that girl. What was her name?
Oh, I mean, there's scam artists everywhere.
Well, yeah, I know. But like, I guess in the way I'm thinking about it now.
I wondered if this movie made you want to talk about Pierre Bourdieu or any of that other social theory crap that you know about.
Like about how class can, like, just changing your language can buy you capital. Like, I mean,
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. Like, I mean, she obviously would never have gotten where she was if she hadn't have learned how to speak correctly. You know, and I mean, he's right about that. He's like, you know, she would have stayed in the gutter for the rest of her life. Like,
Yeah.
there's no social mobility without, being able to increase the capital that you have. So it was like she not just increased her capital through the language, right? Her cultural capital is probably what I would call that. But just by knowing him and going to Ascot and meeting that Freddie kid, I mean, that's social capital right there.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you that even though they changed her language, so like the scene with Ascot, right, you see that it's like it's not just about teaching her to speak right, because it's like even though she's speaking right, she's still talking about things that
Which, by the way, went totally over my head as a kid, but that was hilarious.
No, it was then that's pinch that, then that done in, and it's
Really
like,
funny.
yeah, no, it's very funny. So it's like there has to be content behind it, right? You can't just like go and speak right, because then again, that's when you become an imposter. Is like they'll find you out. Is that you have to build. So I don't know now. Like I would think about, we'd probably talk about it more in terms of like code switching, or it relates to code switching. Like what people do now is code switch.
But she didn't have that ability.
No, she didn't. Right. And like, I don't think there was code switching because there wasn't like, there was no interaction. Like there was no, like fluidity between classes. Like, whereas like now when we try to pretend like we don't have a class system, when we very much do, like the fact that you have to code switch
right
shows that we have a class system. And this is something that I very much rail against, in teaching, right? When like, I mean, it happens at graduation every year when they're like, if you wear jeans, you can't be in graduation. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, stop with your white supremacy of like what a celebration looks like, especially when it's not your celebration.
Right.
Like if the people who are doing the celebrating, who are, have done the thing that we're awarding, right? Like if that's how they want to celebrate, that's how they want to celebrate. Like you can't like dictate, and that's why people don't respond to my emails.
Barbara was talking about how so one of Eddie's friends keeps saying she wants to go to Mexico with us, but she won't respond when I send dates and whatever. And I was talking about it yesterday, and I was like, I mean, I spend most of my work life chasing people down, trying to get them to answer questions they don't want to answer. I do not want to do this in my personal life because at least at work I get paid for it. And I was like, but the funny thing is we have a new CIO and people have suddenly actually started responding to me at work. Like, it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just at this point now, it's like I send the email and it's usually like suggestions for how I think things should work. And it's like, I just know that I'm just sending it so I can get it out of my head.
Yeah.
Like if they do anything with it, and like my goal this year is to just not send the email. But I did talk to my kids about, like I, at the end of this year, and I was like talking about, again with graduation, I was like, it's just white supremacy. And they're like, Miss Davis. And they're like, I was like, yeah, I know. I'll say the quiet part out loud. Like it's bullshit. White people are terrible.
So the one thing I do know is what they did to Eliza. And what's interesting about the play is that it seems to understand itself. Like Pickering says from the beginning, you're going to put her in a liminal space.
Yeah.
And Higgins doesn't care. And then she ends up in this liminal space where it's like, she can't go back to the East End. They don't accept her. And she can't be in high society.
Yeah.
As she keeps talking, she's going to, sorry, it's thundering here. So Alfie's going to keep barking, but
that's fine.
I did enjoy very much the song Show Me. Also, it reminded me of grad school because by the time I finished grad school, I realized how tired I was of the written word. Like, and I said that in class one day and nobody said anything. Except one guy, he goes, that's our whole life, Heather. I was like, yeah, I know. I don't think it's that big a deal. Which is part of what I like about podcasting, because I do love writing, but like, I don't know. I mean, writing is just so there's
It's so one-dimensional.
It's very
It's
one-dimensional, and it is artificial. Even in its truest form, it's artificial. Because it's not really the words that come out of your brain in the way that they come out. Like you're rearranging them in your brain.
No, you're editing, yeah.
You're editing, yes. You're always
Yeah.
editing. Because even in your brain, you don't necessarily speak in full sentences. You know what I mean? Like it's as soon as you put it down into writing, it becomes this thing that is artificial in some way, shape, or form, no matter how true it is. Anyway.
Well, and it doesn't. I guess when I say it's one-dimensional, I mean it doesn't bear. It hasn't gone through the process of being questioned or criticized or interacted with any other thought.
Well, and I have to be careful because even with my team, like we met, and one of the things our new CIO wants us to do is do SWOT analysis. I roll. But anyway,
Do what
they, of
analysis?
course, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT analysis.
Oh, okay. I was like squat analysis. We have to like squat while you're having meetings. It's like a health thing.
Yes, this is SWOT analysis. we hired a PE teacher to be our CIO.
We do calisthenics during our meetings to keep everybody on task because you can't like be on your phone while you're doing that.
Yep. That's what we did. No, so anyway, so it's not necessarily something that any of them have had to sit through before. I've done them before. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think about things all the time, so it's easy.
Yeah.
But also, you have to be careful about how you do it, particularly when you're presenting it to a new leader who's coming in, because you don't necessarily want to point out the flaws that are everywhere because you don't want them to run away. But you also don't want to pretend like everything's fine because it's definitely not. And so I had asked them all to come to a meeting before I left for Canada and present to me some of what they think our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. And it had been a rough week, and they were all like, oh, I didn't do my homework. And so it was like, okay, well, I had kind of not wanted to show you mine until you guys shared, because I don't want you to feel like mine is the end all be all. Like, this is just what I came up with. But it's like I show it to them, and it's just one slide, and it has a table on it. And I'm like, again, remember, just because this is written down doesn't mean
not the end all
final.
be all.
It's not final. It took me 10 minutes to put together. I can kill it in 2 seconds. Like, it's not final. It's written down, but it's not final. So,
but it's on a slide.
Oh yeah, so that means it's true forever. It's true. More queer text. Why can't a woman be more like a man? I did appreciate that at the end she says what she wants from him, because I was like, what does she want for, like, what is it? And then it was basically like, just don't ignore me. You can hit me, just don't ignore me. I'm like,
it's so.
Of all of the terrible romances that we have watched, what the?
No, I mean, it's like, you remember when our friend was dating that meth addict and we were like, they should break up, and our other friend was like, well, it's not like she beats him or he beats her. And I was like, what the who?
Why is that the standard?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Romantic love is a tool of the patriarchy.
I mean, honestly, oh my God. Yeah, she should have gone for the happy little puppy Freddie.
Yeah.
And fuck that. So like,
could have been like, hey, I know you like hanging out on my street, but I got this room in here with chocolates and a fire and this big ass chair.
I mean, that's what she wanted. She was talking about how she wanted someone to rest its head on her knee. Like, she wants a fucking dog. Like, she wants a lap dog. He was the perfect lap dog. Like, come here and sit on the ground and worship at my feet and rest your cute little head on my knee. And, you know.
Maybe they deserved each other, since neither of them seemed to know what they actually wanted. Henry wanted a man that didn't want a man, and she wanted a puppy but didn't want a puppy. They deserved each other. So you
ready for the age breakdowns?
I didn't even bother.
I know. I was going to ask, like, did you Google the age differences?
Mm-mm.
So he was 56.
Mm-hmm.
She was 35.
Yes.
But apparently Eliza, the character, is supposed to be like 20.
Yeah.
And so they were afraid. So they cast Freddie, the guy who played Freddie, at 30 because they didn't want her to be too much older.
Right. To look too much.
And
Yeah.
the Freddie character.
Yeah. Which
Even
honestly,
though-
in real life, she could have been 20 or 21. He could have been 30, and the other guy could have been 56. And in that period of time, it would be fine. And apparently, in this period of time, it would all be fine too.
Oh my God. I know. But I love how like they don't care that, he's 20 years older than her.
Yeah. No.
Oh, and it was supposed to be called Lady Eliza or Lady Liza. But Rex thought that gave too much attention to the female lead.
You just call him Rex because you hate him. One of the brothers are like, we want him because he's such a good actor. We don't care if he can sing. And then I was like, not that good an actor. Like, they actually had thought of casting Cary Grant, and he said that he wouldn't do it because his English was more like Eliza's. But then I'm watching it, and the whole time, and I'm like, I would like this so much better if it was Cary Grant. I mean, if it was the exact same language, if every line was the same, I still would have enjoyed it much more if it were Cary Grant.
Yeah. Well, he did it. He was the one on Broadway. He did it on Broadway too.
Rex Harrison was, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course they didn't do Julie Andrews because she wasn't a big enough name.
Right.
And Audrey was mad that they dubbed her because she actually sang. But
I
then
know.
they just dubbed over it.
Her voice was too weak, yeah.
Yeah.
And they dubbed her
she
Freddie.
said if she'd
because-
known they were going to do that, she never would have taken the role.
Yeah.
So I do like how Julie Andrews thanked the guy at Warner Brothers who said she couldn't have the part when she won the Oscar for Mary Poppins that year. Like, fuck you. I was talking, we went over to Laney and Joe's the other day, and so I was talking to Laney about the podcast, and I was talking to her about Elliot watching The Sound of Music, and how I told him that, oh, that's the same actress that played Mary Poppins, and she goes, it was? Like, oh, I never knew that. Like,
So for those of you who question why Ryan and I would have a film and TV podcast, we do know more things about film and TV than some people.
I mean, it's amazing to be like, we know so much that I feel like for most of my life, I took it for granted that other people knew as much.
Right.
Like, remember when Jacob didn't know who Judy Garland was?
Yeah.
And I was like, my brain just couldn't, like,
In fairness to him, though, if he tried to make me name any single player who was a Red Sox player, I couldn't.
well, okay, fine. But
Like,
still, that's
for
not
all time
universal.
ever, not just like who's
Like,
like now.
No. Everybody, no. That's not even, like, it's kind of the same, but it's not the same.
I mean, well, I guess it would be like if I didn't.
It's not like I would say name every 5 movies that she was in, right? Like,
Yeah.
But like, just like who she is, like,
I don't know what to tell you.
I decided then and there, if I ever had a son, he would know who Judy Garland was.
Okay. Calm it down. We're done
I'm
with our
calm.
musicals, y'all. Up next,
Oh, thank you. What do we do next?
Summer Bullshit.
Ben's made a request.
Oh, did he?
He wants us to watch Better Off Dead, and I said that it would probably have to wait till next year because you had every movie picked out for the year.
I do.
But he thinks that would be a really good one.
It's a funny movie.
It is a funny movie.
Coming up, we have the Summer Bullshit series, which will start with National Lampoon's Vacation,
Oh my!
and then Shag, and then Summer School, and then Back to School.
Oh God!
And then leading us into fall, we're going to watch 80s Teens to the Max, which will be Saved by the Bell and Head of the Class, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Teen Wolf, Pretty in Pink, and Just One of the Guys. Which we could swap out just one of the guys to be Better Off Dead. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I feel like we watch Better Off Dead way more than just one of the guys.
Yes, that's probably true.
And we haven't really done a John Cusack movie, and I mean, other than like 16 Candles. Not that that's a John Cusack movie, but a movie that John Cusack is in.
It's true. We also haven't done 16 Candles, so
We haven't?
no.
Are you sure?
Yep. We talked about doing it, but we haven't done it.
Wow.
Thank you. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we discuss National Lampoon's Vacation. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? And what should we talk about in future episodes? You just heard us change from one movie to another, so change is possible. We can be flexible. By we, I mean I. We want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram and Threads at I Love You But Pod, or email us at I Love You But Pod at gmail.com. That's I Love You But Pod at gmail.com. And like in 80s commercials, I'll say again, I Love You But Pod at gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes. Be sure to rate, review, and follow I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.